Hello, welcome to For the Home Cook. My name is Cheryl, and over the next few weeks, I am going to walk you through some great money saving ideas as we meal prep and try to save some money on our grocery bill. I know that a lot of us are struggling, and now we're trying to feed our family or ourselves on a budget while still getting some meals that we're actually going to enjoy. So we're going to have different topics every week. We're going to tackle things like a food budget today. We're also going to look at, is it worth buying in bulk, or should we buy, individual type of things. We're also just going to go through some meal prep and some meal options that you can do. Some are going to be healthy, some are going to be maybe not so healthy, but things that the kids are going to love. And today, like I said, we're going to work on a food budget. So NerdWallet, they actually showed that the average monthly cost for groceries is about $504 a month. So if we can reduce that, that is going to be a big help. Now, the USDA, they put out different maps and different totals, whenever it comes to food budgets. So a monthly food plan, they have a thrifty plan, a low cost, and a moderate and liberal plan. So when we look at a 4-person household, that's 2 adults, 2 kids, a thrifty food plan, as you can see here, is $229 a week, $992 a month, and that is for thrifty. That is, we are not going to go overboard on some things. So whenever we also look at the low cost plan, that is $239 a week and more than $1,000 a month. So still a low cost plan. Now we look at a moderate cost plan. This is going to cost a 4-person household about $293 a week, $1,200 a month. Reminder, this is 2 adults, 2 kids. The kids kind of vary. One's really young, one's maybe a teen. So those teens are going to eat a little bit more than maybe those younger kids. And then we look at a liberal plan. Now this is, hey, we don't have a food budget. We can spend what we want and we're comfortable. This is $357 a week, about $1,500 a month. So this is all based on a nutritious food plan, which we know this day and age, sometimes that's not possible. Either it's too expensive to buy those organic or those healthier options, or sometimes we're just busy. And that's not in the cards for us. We can't make these nutritious meals 3 times a day for us and our family and expect to still save some money when we do that. So we're going to go over some food budget things. NerdWallet, they have a food budget kind of formula that you can use. It's called the 50-30-20. So 50%, that is for all of the necessities. So your food, those utilities, your car, things like that. 30%, they go to wants, like meals out, entertainment, those extra things. 20% should go to your loan payments and those credit card payments above your minimum. Let's be honest though. Since when does that work for anybody when we look at our budget? Sometimes it's paycheck to paycheck and you don't have 20% extra to spend on anything. So that's what this is for. We're gonna go over some meal items. I have 2 different recipes that I'm gonna share with you today. But let's go with how to even start with a food budget. So first things first, you need to figure out what you're going to eat. Now, this is a great time to start look at all of those circulars, all of those, store items that are maybe on sale and kind of base it around that. For example, if pork chops are on sale, maybe we base that around all of our meals around pork chops for dinner. If we know that we can get 2 packages of chicken breast, maybe we get that in the next 2 weeks. Everything's based off of chicken. So what are we going to eat? This is a great time to also get the kids involved. So maybe the kids are picking a meal a day every single week, and it's their choice. They get you a food list. You guys work on what is a budget, how can we stay under budget, and this is a great way to get the kids involved to not only pick a meal that they're actually going to eat, but also to teach them the value of how much money do you have to spend and how are you going to get a meal that you like that's also under budget. So maybe as a family, you can decide when you're going to eat out. So if you know that all your practices are happening on a Thursday or a Friday, or maybe you just don't want to cook on a Wednesday, this is a good chance to get the family together and plan out, okay, we're going to eat out at this place on this day. Next is to make a list. I cannot stress how important it is to make a list. Have you ever been into a store? They design them so that it will confuse you, so you walk around the whole store and you get things that you don't need. So taking a list in there is going to be essential. Also, and we've all heard this at least once, do not grocery shop while hungry. That is going to dictate a lot of the things that you're going to get at the store, and sometimes that's not what you need on your list. Also, let's make sure that we check our pantries, that we check our refrigerator, make sure that we're not buying items that we already need. And then look at things like, can I get, frozen items, or can I get stuff that's in a can versus fresh? Also, just look at the season. What can you do? What is in season? And then think of things like your slow cooker, one pot meals, all of those things that are going to make it easier to make those meals, and then stick with it. So I've got two options, like I said today. One of them is going to be very budget friendly, and one of them is just going to be easy, but I've got some ways that you can maybe fit it into your budget. So what I have here on the right, these are going to be ham and cheese croissants. Super simple, something that you can make in a few minutes, get it into the oven. So even if you have a practice, even if you have a meeting that's going on after hours, this is something that you can still do. So we're gonna get a can of crescent rolls. Now this comes with 8 triangles. So if you have a family of 4, that's gonna be 2 apiece. If you want more than 2, just get more. But we're looking at a budget, and so buying all of this, even to double it, was only $15. And if you think this would have been under 10 had I not maybe gotten stuff to double it. I hate this part. Andy should be here to pop these open. All right, so we're gonna take these out. Now, obviously, ham and cheese, we're gonna get ham and cheese. This works well though if you don't want ham, maybe you don't like ham, you can use whatever lunch meat that you like. Let's say that you plan out sandwiches and now you have extra lunch meat. Let's not waste that. Let's go ahead and put it into this. You can also take biscuit dough. If maybe you have some leftover biscuit dough, or you bought some biscuits and now you have it, you can also use that as well. So we're gonna roll these out. I've got 8 slices of ham, and then I've got 4 slices of cheddar cheese that I have split in half. Now the key to this, I know you're thinking, this is gonna be simple, just put it in there. Yeah, basically. But you wanna wrap as much as you can into the dough. The more stuff that kind of leaks out, it's gonna leak out into your oven, and it's not gonna be all in the dough. So we're gonna do our best to wrap these up. And once again, this is something that the kids can do, especially the younger kids. Put them in charge of this, and then you don't have to do any meal prep at all. So we're gonna continue to put these on here. We're gonna roll these up, and these are gonna go in a 350-degree oven for about 15 to 19 minutes. I have seen people, when they make this recipe, put either an egg wash on top to kind of make it brown on the top while it's in the oven. I've also seen people get like a garlic Parmesan butter or a garlic butter and put that on top as well. Now, obviously that's going to add a little bit more to your food budget if you don't have those items already at home. So think about that. It's not necessary, but you could do that. So we're gonna keep rolling these up. We're gonna put these in the oven, and then let's look at what are we also going to add to this. So your side game can be very easy, or it can be very complex. With something like this, I went with something simple. So you can see in the corner here, I have a bowl that's got some sliced up cucumber and some sliced red onion. Now, I know a lot of kids are gonna go, I don't like vegetables, I don't like onions. Even adults may say those same things. But this is an easy way that you can get some vegetables into your diet, which is sometimes tough to do, and also make something that's super quick. All I did was slice up some cucumbers, wash them, slice them, slice up some red onion, and then just get some white vinegar and some salt and pepper. That'll go into the fridge about 5 to 10 minutes before you're ready to eat. And it's just gonna marinate those so that they're not gonna be so much a pickle consistency, but they're gonna take on the flavor of that salt and pepper, and also with that vinegar. So once these are done, and I'm gonna move this to the side, I have some in the oven, so let's go and get those. So these were in there for about 15 to 19 minutes. And as I said, the more that you roll up all of your ingredients, the more that it's not going to come out. So you see we lost some cheese here. And it's not so much that it's burnt, it's that we lost cheese. And I love cheese, and I don't want to lose cheese. So make sure that you roll those up just a little bit better than I did. But if you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. Now the great thing about these is that we can serve these with a lot of different things. If you have just some regular yellow mustard, that'll work. If you have some honey mustard, that would work. Horseradish mustard, basically anything that would go with kind of a pigs in a blanket feel, you can put those on there. Now, parchment paper is essential so that it doesn't stick, but we didn't have any. So sometimes you use what you got. You can also spray off your foil or spray your pan if it's not a non-stick pan. And then, like I said, we made 8. So if you have a 4-person household, that's 2 apiece. And then we have that side. You can make your sides with anything. So you can make a fruit salad. You could just do fruit. You could do apples and peanut butter on the side. It doesn't have to be complicated, but you have this great and easy meal. Like I said, this only cost about $15 to double it. So let's say if you did double it, but you wanted to stick to 2 apiece, then you've got dinner for now 2 nights. If you get some more, and now you've got $20 for 2 dinners, which is not, it's very cost effective when we look at things. So this is an easy one. This is one that's going to be well within your budget. Let's look at one that's just easy. So sometimes budget is, it's gonna go a little bit more than what you have, but this one is all about ease, the ease of what we're gonna eat. So these are called walking tacos. I've heard it also be called pile-on. Whatever you want to call it, here we go. So what I've got here is a pound of ground beef, cooked it off, added some taco seasoning. Your ground beef is probably going to be the most expensive besides the chips, depending on what kind that you get. So we're going to cook that off. We're going to add some taco seasoning, cook it just like you normally would. And then here comes the fun part. We're going to add this into a bag of chips. Now, I picked Doritos. You can pick whatever chip that you like. You could even just get regular tortilla chips. But let's talk about our options here. So these little ones you can find at the front of the store, and they're 2 for $1. So we're talking 50 cents a piece. That's a good bargain, unless you're having to get, I don't know, 8 or 9 of them. Now we're up to $4 or $5. That is also a cost. So we've got these, and if we look at our cost comparison here, these little bags, 2 for $1. So we're looking at, $2 or $1 right here. I got 2 more, that's $2. We also have these medium-sized bags. So these were about, I think, $2.50 a piece. So now we've got a 2 for $5 situation going on here. Now the thing is, you're gonna be able to feed more people at a time with this. This one's gonna be more mobile. This is about 1 ounce of chips. These right here, these have about 2.5 ounces. So we've got 2 ounces here for $1, and we've got 2.5 ounces for $2.50. So you're gonna save a little bit of money if you get them in these smaller bags. Now, I know you're gonna go to the store and you're gonna go, well, I have a whole family and I don't wanna open up 7 bags of tiny Doritos. That's perfectly fine. You can get these bigger bags. So this one, and depending on where you go, will run you anywhere between $4 and $6 for this big bag. And this is 9 ounces. So technically, if you do 1 ounce, you should get allegedly 9 servings out of this whole bag. I don't know about that because we have some air in there. So I don't believe you're gonna get 9 servings out of that. But I think your most cost effective is going to get these little bags here, and they have different varieties. So they have the Cool Ranch Doritos, they have different types of chips. You can also get the boxes that have the 5 or 6 varieties of chips. I saw one that only has Doritos in it. So that's also an option, especially if you got that maybe for sandwiches last week, and now you have some leftovers. You can use that. Now, depending on what store you go to, they're also gonna have some off-brand chips that are these basically exact flavors. The texture is a little bit different, but an off-brand big bag of chips is $2.50. So if you think you're getting one that's this size for this price, for that smaller price. So, like I said, this one's easy. This one is not the healthiest. It could be worse, okay? We could get pizza on the way home, which is always delicious, but yeah, maybe not cost effective. And if you have kids, they can come and make this themselves. So if you have the little bags, open it. You're gonna put all of your ingredients in here. If you have a big bag, then you're gonna have to take out a handful, put it onto a plate, and then assemble it that way. So this one, you can get whatever toppings that you want. I'm not a huge fan of lettuce, but I know some people are, and it's a great filler and something that you can put on top of these. So we've got some cheese, we've got some onion. Part of this onion I used over in our first recipe, so the rest went on here. And then get some sour cream, throw it on there. Now, if you wanted to, you could, close the top, and then we could shake this up and see what happens, and everything should kind of move around. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. So now, crush up your chips, get a fork, put your fork in there, and now you have a walking taco. So just 2 examples of what we're working with when we look at meals that are gonna be cost effective and also filling and something that the kids can get involved in, something that is not going to tire you out because it doesn't take a lot of time to put together. So over the next few weeks, like I said, we're going to tackle different topics. Next week, we're going to talk about breakfast. And I know people say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. We're going to go into why that's true and also some options that are going to be great, whether you have a family or not. They're going to be healthy. We're going to go over some really healthy ones. We're going to go over some that are just going to be filling. And we're going to talk about some different options when we look at staples, cost, and then what to do about eggs are so expensive. So how do we go around eggs and still get a healthy breakfast? But for now, we're going to enjoy here at the station all of these options here, and we'll see you next time.